All right, everybody, welcome to Interview Friday. This is Lunch Therapy. This is your place to take a break from the crap that's going on in the world, place to sit and learn from one another and commune. On Fridays, we call it Interview Friday. This is called Lunch Therapy, and we interview interesting people. Today, we've got a super interesting person. We've got Del Zamora, who is one of the most prolific actors that I know, a very passionate person. Also likes cats, which is a big plus on this show. Hoy, Mary Marks.
Awesome.
Yeah, everybody, we say hoy on the show. We don't say hi. It's a weird thing that we do. But I'm so glad to have you all here. Really looking forward to this. I'll tell you more about Del as we get into it. But first, of course, we got to get into the show. So this is Lunch Therapy. I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 All right, I've got an extra special thing that's going to happen today. We're on a train. There's Blas. He's sitting there. Blas, are you sitting in the bench on the side of the train there? I'm having a little tea.
I'm trying to enjoy myself here. This is some ride.
Flying through the sky in a train.
Yeah, I can't believe you were able to book this thing. This is
I know,
ridiculous.
it's crazy, isn't it? It's a crazy thing. But you know what was really cool is I got this thing installed on this thing. And it is, I'm able to bring people in from all places around the world.
Oh,
I know.
you mean the transporter's working?
The transporter is now working. So I'm gonna bring in a hummingbird.
Whoa,
Ladies and gentlemen,
really?
yeah, IRL, not just even virtually. I'm gonna bring them right in.
What?
I'm gonna count to 3, and here he comes, everybody. It's a big surprise. 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's Jeff Lohman, Super Jeff. Wow, it's so great to see you here. Oh my gosh. Got the shirt cam on him.
Oh, man.
All right, so cool. So Jeff, come onto the screen here. Come over here. And let's just see. How's everything going?
It's good. It's wonderful.
Boney, close that door, Boney.
Boney, close the door.
See where the magic is and what happens here. It's
The studio is vast, isn't it? I mean, it's like,
gosh.
yeah.
Well, and the studio audience too.
Yeah. So if anybody else wants to come through the portal someday, let us know here at Lunch Therapy. Jeff's going to be here with us during the show. But first we have to breathe. Right?
It works so good. I mean,
It works
I can't
good.
believe
Doesn't
it's
it?
working.
I know
There's
you're
trouble
so
with
excited.
it. Boney, good job, Boney. Real nice.
Boney, really, he hooked us up. I mean, let's just give an applause to Boney. Is Boney the conductor? Yes, he is. Boney is the conductor. Yeah. All right, so let's get into some breathing. What?
Did you guys order brunch? I'm just having coffee.
Hey, I'm eating scones and stuff here, so I don't know. You got to order ahead though. You got to plan ahead. All right. So let's do some breathing. Why don't you do some breathing with us, Jeff, before you head off back to
Love it in the house.
Party Train. Yeah, I like it. I
love
so,
it.
Jeff, do you want to lead the breathing? Come in here and do the mic.
All right. So let's loosen up a little bit. Feel that tension in your shoulders. A little bit. Same routine as before. Just in through the nose. Deep breath. You can hold it a little bit. Release.
Feeling better after that.
always feels so
Do
good.
another breath.
It always feels
This
so
time you want to not think about the past or the future. Just concentrate on your in-breath.
Okay.
Hold it a bit. Release.
Ooh, drop those shoulders.
Feeling a lot better
All
already.
right, blood pressures have been lowered.
Drink your water, people. In through
That's
the
really
nose, out
good.
through the toes. One more.
Last one.
Hold it. Let it go. Right, I'm drinking water. Staying hydrated. So Jeff, hopefully we can see you for the dance break.
Definitely. I will go back into the train and come back out.
All right, I'll get the train back in here so you can go out the portal. All right, and there he goes. Wow.
Oh, look at this
Party
guy. Look at this
train.
guy. Oh man, I'm liking it.
Super fun here. Super fun here at Lunch Therapy. That is the main objective. And
Mary
I just want
Marks in the house.
there, Mary Marks is here. Yeah. And,
Yeah.
all right. I want to say hi to a shout out to Audra Lorenzo. Good to see you here as well. Yeah,
Realtor
let's go.
extraordinaire.
All right.
love it.
So okay, so let's get into this thing. I've got Del Zamora here. I'll see you for the dance break, Blas.
Oh,
It is
Del.
Interview Friday.
have
got
fun
a
with
handful.
Del, y'all.
Right. I'm going to give you a little intro to Del Zamora here for those of you that might not know him. These are some of the roles that he's played in various films and television shows. You've seen him. He's kind of a chameleon. You've seen him in Repo Man, which is a cult classic that I've always wanted to talk to somebody about that movie because when we were kids, that was the bomb, as they say. And Born in East LA with Camila Lopez, of course. He was in the iconic "What's Happening" scene, which is like so great. I love that. And then also recently he was on True Blood, where he played this shaman and a really kind of scary role. And he also was on Sneaky Pete and about 200 and change of other productions and movies, Robocop, all kinds of things that you've seen him in.
Guest stars.
Yeah, he's really
Galore.
amazing. It's amazing. Anyway, let's get into this thing. Interview Friday. I'll let Del tell us all about himself.
Fuck George Lopez. He denies he stole the George Lopez show from me. I wrote letters about your terrible show. Got it canceled, but that stealing my TV, man. George Lopez! Why do you gotta come down here, let everybody know how rich you are, and then take a giant dump on all of us? You, George Lopez! George Lopez! George Lopez! George Lopez! Fuck George Lopez!
It's the last tag. Oh man, that's great. I love that. Del Zamora, yeah. Welcome to Lunch Therapy.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh my God, it's so great to have you here. That's hilarious. What was that? Was that some kind of promo for George Lopez?
Yeah, he had a show after his main show on the major network was canceled, and it was called George Lopez on TV Land, and it was basically his life behind the scenes as a real comic.
Oh
And
man.
worked together in a couple of movies, and we're friends. And I used to do stand up long ago. People don't know that, but I got
Did you?
out of that. Yeah,
Really?
I was actually very successful. I was starting to get successful as a stand up,
Yeah.
and I knew all the legends from the back in the days that most of them are dead now, and that's why I stopped doing it. Because I projected forward and I could see where this is going, and I was also doing really good in music.
Really?
And acting, yeah. But what I realized was, one older guy goes, "You better focus on one. You're going to be a jack of all trades." I go, "I'm doing good in all of them. You know, you're young and you're full of. I could do them all."
Yeah.
One day, I realized, and this was a crucial moment in my career. I looked around, and I wasn't the best looking guy, but I can make people laugh, or I could sing and I could play bass and percussion. And on the breaks, the girls would come up to me that normally wouldn't come up to me, and because I made them laugh or because I sang or I played, and they go hi, and I go, hey, you want a drink? And like any young-blooded male, I'm
Yeah.
trying to get laid. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
going to be honest.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, I'm going to do that every night, like for years. I'm going to do this business long term, and I want to do this long term.
Yeah.
And I projected forward, and I could also see there was a lot of comics that were already on the down
Mm-hmm.
side,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and they were telling me, "It's like messed up racket," and they all steal from each other too. So there's this real cynicism. It's kind of a bullies club. And then a musician, they can't stay away from your girlfriends. They all want to like three guys can do it. But as soon as you get the fourth guy, somebody's trying to hit on somebody's girl, and then it's just trouble, right?
Yeah.
Or they show up to gigs because they're flakes, even though you're making a lot of money. And I realized I better focus. That guy's right. I better focus on one. And I looked at acting, and I said, "There's really no booze in acting. Like booze is part of stand-up. Booze is part of music.
Oh, you mean booze? Like people booing you?
No alcohol.
Alcohol. You mean booze? I was like, he doesn't mean alcohol, does he?
Yes, and
There's
so
a lot of drunk actors, aren't there?
well, but it's not part of. You're not supposed to show up to work drunk.
Right. Yeah, you can't do it drunk. Whereas some people, although I'm a stand-up comedian, and I've found if you drink, you're awful. You think you're really good, but then you lose your awareness of the audience, and so then it takes you out. You know what I mean? And then you're just like a goober up there, goofing around on yourself. Yeah.
Right. To me, that I notice is that I wouldn't get drunk before my set.
Yeah.
But that the girls would come up to me.
Yeah, there's definitely that culture. Yeah.
You want a drink? You want a drink? And I said, because and you see where that goes, how that develops, right?
That's the thing. You spend so much time in bars. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So as a musician and as a comedian, you have to spend your time in bars. That's where you're working. So there's so much alcohol. And when you're on a set, not necessarily a bar. Or if it is, none of the drinks are potent.
There used to be rap beer.
Yeah.
And that was that rap.
Rap beer, yeah. When they're done.
Yeah, they've even taken that away, So, but the Teamsters still have it. So if you're nice to the Teamsters, here's a good thing for young actors. If you get a big role in a movie, like my first big role in Repo Man, when you first day of the set, bring a case of beer to the Teamsters.
To the Teamsters. Yeah, take care of them.
Here you go, boys.
Appreciate it.
Here you go. You just set yourself up on the right foot, and they go like, who the hell's that guy?
Take care of you. Yeah.
And they go, well, he's one of the actors. Oh, really? Oh, okay. He's good for him. It's just a way of sort of like setting the tone to do stuff like that, right? So there's still rap beer, but basically rap beer. They used to have rap beer. Literally, it's a rap, and you could go get one or two beers and then be on your way home. But now insurance is like, no.
Remember the martini shot too.
Yeah, well, and actually, Abby Singer. Do you know what Abby?
Yeah.
I've heard of Singer. Well, I met the real.
You what?
I met the real Abby Singer.
And who's Abby Singer?
Because you probably heard on a set, this is Abby Singer.
Oh, yeah. So you met the real Abby Singer.
Right. And I met him and I said, hey, how do you feel about the next to last take being called Abby Singer? And he goes, that's a bunch. I don't know if I can cuss.
You can. But why do you think that happened? Why do you think they...
Well, I know we talked about it because I had asked other crew members, why do you call the next to last take Abby Singer when I was a young actor?
Yeah.
And what you want to do is you want to ask the right guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Because otherwise they'll be like, this guy's a noob.
Right. So
he doesn't know what he's doing.
Right. So they go Abby Singer, and you look to see who starts moving. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the coolest one of those guys, usually the youngest one, you sidle up to him a little later, and this happened on Repo Man. I go, hey, what does Abby Singer mean?
Yeah.
What notice it's the next to the last shot. Why did they call it Abby Singer? He said, well, you've heard Martini. I go, yeah, that's the last shot. He goes, yeah, well, Abby Singer was this great AD, worked for the studios.
Yeah.
And he running the crews hard, running them into the ground, 14-hour days. Now they do it all the time, but they pay them. But back then they did a lot. Run on the ground, and then they'd start complaining, and they go, okay, this is Martini, boys. It's Martini. And then they shoot it. And he goes, okay, we got one more. And they go, what the heck? The fuck? the
That's
shit.
funny.
And so after that, Abby Singer was like next to Lex shot because you can't trust it. And I said, I asked Abby,
Yeah.
Singer, he goes, that's much bullshit.
Sounds like in character. Sounds very much in character. So how did you, okay, I want to ask you about this because you have family that goes way back in this country. Like, I mean, you said like 1500s or something like that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I'm half Apache, so that's even thousands of years before that. And
Thousands
then
of years.
Chicano, which is Mexican American, right? Which is in other
Yeah.
words, born in New Mexico. My family there from the 1500s back to like literally the 1500s. My uncle William Zamora, who was the superintendent of schools in Albuquerque, New Mexico,
Mm.
and he got his BA and his MFA summa cum laude. By the way, I have 3 members of my family
Yeah.
that all have their BA and MFA degrees summa cum laude, all of them.
Wow.
My
You've
mother,
got a smart family. Yeah.
my mother got her BA summa cum laude from University of New Mexico. She got her MFA summa cum laude from Sacramento State.
Mm.
My Uncle Bill got both degrees, BA and MFA in education. My mom was in sociology, social worker. Education from University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, BA and MFA summa cum laude. And then my Aunt Grace, my mother's sister, she in education, her BA was from, and MFA was from University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, summa cum laude. So there's like 6 summa cum laude degrees there, right?
Jeez.
But I never see that reflected on camera. Oh yeah, and there's some of my old family from back in the day.
Yeah.
In the very middle is my Uncle Tircio
Yeah.
as a boy, and he was born in 1898 before New Mexico was a state.
Wow.
It became a state when he was 14,
Mm-hmm.
but 13. And I asked him what happened because we used to own this land and we used to drive by it on the way to go fishing.
Yeah.
And you say all those cherry and pear and apple orchards used to be ours. And I never I could see he was sad. And so as I got older, I asked him, and he didn't want to talk about it, but then I realized, oh, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which when Mexico lost the war with Texas,
Mm-hmm.
United States right away annexed Texas as part of USA so they could then negotiate as the USA, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they gave up the Southwest pretty much.
Oh,
Texas,
wow.
Arizona, Nevada, California, they just gave it up, right? But
Wow.
they didn't want to repatriate all the Mexicans that were there already because think what that would do to their economy.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they deported all the people that were living there for centuries back to Mexico, it would crash their economy.
Yeah.
There's not enough jobs there, and they would cause. The people own land, and where did they go? So part of the treaty was that the people that were on this side of the Rio Grande, this side of the border, like my family, which hated it being a state, were allowed to keep their land. That was part of, and that they were automatically U.S. citizens. So overnight, my grandfather became a U.S. citizen. So I asked him, how did the land get taken?
Yeah, how did they lose it? Yeah.
And the federal authorities said, you let them keep their land. And the one in the middle of this one here, this photo, that's she lived to be 104. That's Roberta Chavez, and that's the Mescalero Apache. And that's my grandfather's mother. And she lived to be 104. And my grandmother, his wife, grandmother, lived to be 114. So we lived like a long time.
Whoa, 114?
Yeah. And my mother's 88, and she's still like in great shape. And we go out together. Like I go meet her. Her and her husband, they winter in El Centro. They used to winter in Baja. They winter in El Centro, and then they go back to Idaho. So I meet them in Laughlin, and I'll go out to dinner with my mother, and everybody thinks we're a couple.
That's great. So how did you get into show business originally?
Really, I really had people say, "Were you in drama class in high school?" No. I thought they were nerdish. I was like a jock, and I was a straight A student, but I was like a good boy. I was like the reader, the quiet one, because also I moved. My mother, to get us out of the poverty that my father left us, because my father left us when I was 5, and I had a newborn sister, and my sister was 1.5, and he left us. And my mother worked a full-time job, raised us, and got those degrees, BA and MFA, summa cum laude. She's like Superwoman.
Yeah.
But I was like 4 years older than one and 5 years older than, so I had a lot of responsibility put on me. So my mother said, "We'll never get out of here if you get in trouble." Because the part of Roswell that I was raised in is called Chihuahuita,
Mm-hmm.
and you can kind of tell that means bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
the little Chihuahua.
Yeah.
Little Chihuahua.
A lot of kids didn't make it out of there, or
Uh-huh.
ended up in prison, or they were so, excuse me, they were so um, assimilated. They just became like real assimilated and sort of got accent like that and everything
Oh
like
yeah.
that. So they and fit in because it's close to Texas, so it's it kind of squashed you, right? So my mother said, "You can never get in trouble. If you get in trouble, we're never going to make it." So kids would beat me up, and I wouldn't. I just would let them. I would. They would. It was. I was kind of picked on because I was little. So we kept moving. So I went to 9 schools in 12 years.
Whoa. So that, do you think you
Yikes.
learned, do you think you adapted to new environments really easily because you went to so many different schools? Like, were you a kind of introverted or extroverted, or were you putting, like you said that you were like, not necessarily like the class clown, right?
Right. It's really weird. Each change, and it was never in summer. It was midterm. The
Mm.
moves. It was never like, okay, you're coming in with all the kids now. Like it's
Yeah.
like also
All of a
you
sudden,
come in.
there he is. This is Dell. And you're
Yeah,
like, yeah, I'm Dell.
you're
Yeah.
coming in. So the curriculum is different from Northern California to Southern California. So they're teaching the same subject, but even the chapters are flipped in
Mm-hmm.
order. Like they decide, whoever decides, right, that whatever textbook they. So it'd always be like catching up and everything, but also it depended on where I landed. In Roswell, it was, and I'm sorry, Roswell, I'm born there. It's just where I'm born. I wish it was different. I wish I didn't have to say it, but it's a very, very divided town, and it's a town that is very, very mean to Chicanos and Mexicans.
Mm-hmm.
And Chicanos are different than Mexico. They're Mexican Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they have that part of town, and they try to. That's where the one gang eventually. When I was too young when there weren't gangs there, but there was now, and to show you how they're not forward thinking enough to understand sociology. They're like, okay, every time that a house gets abandoned there, we're just going to raise it. Let's raise it.
Oh.
Well, where are those people going to go?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
old Air Force Base that has these old empty houses, so that's where they go. Well, now you've created 2 barrios. Now you have gang warfare that didn't exist before. Before it was all in one little area. Now you made sure that you got rid of the housing in that one area, as if that got rid of the problem. See, this is the problem with right wing thinking. They don't think of like, and then what?
Yeah.
Once you raise the houses, what? They're gonna go somewhere else. They're gonna disappear. They're gonna
Yeah.
like what are they gonna do? They're gonna go and find another place to live. So now all of a sudden, they're gonna be a group of them over there, and then there's gonna be a group of them over here, and now all of a sudden, that us
There's going
and
to be an
them.
us and them thing. Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh my God, we got a gang problem here in Roswell."
Yeah.
You,
So
you
what did you do? Did you go to college for something else, or did you, because you were trying to be a good boy, not get in trouble, and actors
I was
and comedians and all that stuff, not necessarily known for that?
literally was a straight A student, but part of it too was the loneliness of
Yeah.
the moving.
Hmm.
So we moved to Albuquerque, and I loved it.
You did.
I was, oh yes, and I was there for a solid like 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and then till like September of 9th. So I had enough time there that I had established myself to be kind of popular. Like I had, hey,
Yeah.
hey, I comes, hey, how you doing? And I had played enough sports where even though I was little, they're like, that guy's kind of tough. And he's fast, and he's an athlete. So I didn't have to prove myself. So I felt very comfortable. And then we moved. I got hurt in football, a broken bone, so I had a cast. And then we moved to Woodland, which is above Sacramento. And if you ever
Hmm.
saw the movie Carrie, the
Which
Sissy
one?
Space,
Carrie? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Sissy one in particular,
Yeah.
I was Carrie.
You were Carrie. Did they dump pig's blood on you?
Again, because it's a one high school town, and I'm
Yeah.
again Woodland. I'm sure it's different now,
Hmm.
and I hate to have to say this, but it was a one high school town, and they had all been going to school from kindergarten
Oh, they all knew
together.
each other. Yeah.
They knew each other intrinsically, like from church, from picnics, from uh, Babe Ruth baseball games, from they all know
Yeah.
each other. I'm this new kid that comes in, and nowadays the transcripts are electronic, but back then it came through mail.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a blind person to administration, so they put
Oh,
me
they
in
don't even know. Yeah.
and I'm an A+ student,
Isn't that the
right?
worst? That happened to me too when I was in elementary school. They like put me in the bad kids class because of some, the bad kids class or whatever. And then
They
all of a
just
sudden they start interpreting you differently.
they make assumptions, right?
Yeah.
So the were bad. Part of it, I was like, why would he be moving here in late September, like a month into school? And also, I would see Mexican families around Woodland, but I wouldn't
Mhm.
see the kids. That's because they were still working in the fields.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So see,
Yeah.
can you imagine they've come in after harvest time in October? How are they going to succeed? They're already 2 months behind.
Yeah.
So I didn't quite fit in there, and it was hellish for me. Literally, they lit my locker on fire the first
Oh,
day.
shit. Wow.
And the administration, again, I'm sorry, Woodland. I went to the office and they kind of hinted that why would I do that?
Why would you
Why
do
would I
that to
let?
your locker? Yeah. Right. Exactly. That's the kind of stuff. Tommy Sowers is here. Hi, Tommy. Holy Tommy. Oh, great.
And so they gave me new books.
Yeah.
Now I don't have a locker, so I'm carrying them around with me from class to class.
You
And
never
they're
got
like,
another locker? That was it. They were like, we're
well,
not going to give you one. You're going to set it on fire again.
we'll give you another one, but we have to find one.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So now
Híjole.
and they're laughing. Every time I come into class, they're all laughing because they all knew, the kids. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
in Carrie, that how the meme
Jim
they are.
Carrey. Yeah. Yeah.
I had
So
watched
did
that
you
movie.
lock all the doors and set the place on fire?
Trust me, I wish I was like practicing in my room, like trying,
Yeah.
God darn it, I can't do it. But what it was, I realized now what it was is it's just this hazing thing that they do in America. They do it in other
Yeah.
countries too. They're very
Yeah.
American. They're professionals, and
Yeah.
you have to put up with it. And oddly enough, I realize now if you put up with that at a certain time, then they let up,
Yeah. It's like a test.
and then eventually you're part of them.
Mm-hmm.
I
And then you
didn't
do it
want,
to the next kids coming in. Yeah. I mean,
I
that's
didn't
so
part because I
common.
didn't have a cruel streak in me.
Yeah.
I didn't that my mother raised me to not be cruel. That's why when I see all the hate that happens now against LGBTQ community
Mm-hmm.
and against people for this, like oh my God, how could you be raised to hate?
I
It's
know.
it's so contrary to me. So anyway, so that this sort of set me up for show business. I think that year in Woodland. So what I did is I started calling my old girlfriend in Albuquerque because I couldn't get a girl to talk to me in Woodland.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very few. Now, there was a couple. Vicky Bodger was nice to me. See, I remember, and Lisa Webb was nice to me.
I remember
See,
Lisa.
this is like
Boss.
50 years ago, and I still remember, right? And I remember the ones that weren't nice to me, but we won't mention
Yeah.
their names. And
Yeah.
my mother said, "Son, some of them are dead, and they're still hurting you from the grave. Let it go." And I'm like, "Mom, I
Yeah.
wish I could, but I have this memory, that's really good for acting, but not good for
Yeah.
those kind of things." So in Woodland, I'll try to be concise. So what happened is, I was calling my old girlfriend in Albuquerque, and I was pining away from her, and they started hitting me on the back of the head,
Oh, nobody likes that.
like just walking from class to class.
Oh, man.
And I turn and everybody would laugh. It was like this really odd. And
Yeah.
I'm super sensitive, and I would just, and don't do anything to cause any trouble. And so I was ready to explode. And finally, um, I got in a fight. I finally got in a fight. And so then I got suspended for 3 days. And then the counselor told my mother, your son's going to end up dead or in prison. And my mother was so mad. She goes, you don't know anything about my son. My son is a
Yeah.
straight A student. They're picking on him. He's new to
Yeah.
the school. And he goes, you're wrong. I will tell you a little story if you remind me later about something
Okay.
that she did, a little bit of,
Yeah.
not revenge, but justice against that guy because she stayed in that town.
Really?
So what happened, she realized I was in trouble. Somebody had scraped my name in the boys' bathroom far away
Yeah.
by the football.
Uh-huh.
My name is a fag.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So they get me out of class and they take me with the janitor and the security guy that wasn't really security, but I guess he was, and the principal. And then they show it to me, and I'm like, why would
Wait,
I
you
do
think
that?
I wrote that? They really were interpreting you incorrectly, like quite monumentally.
Yeah, it was like a
No, they
movie.
It's
were
horrible,
judging.
isn't
They were
it?
judging him. They were
Yeah.
putting it on him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at this time, my father, who was a ne'er-do-well, never paid child support, but he was very successful. He had a GED education, but he was very successful in computers.
Mm-hmm.
And he was working for Control Data Institute,
Mm-hmm.
selling, you can come and get your AA degree, in computer technology, computer programming, call us right now.
Yeah.
They'd run on channel 9 and 11 and back in the day, 13,
Uh-huh.
where people are unemployed and like, maybe I could do that, and
Yeah.
that's a reputable, but, and he was working there. So
Trade
he had,
school. It's a trade
yeah,
school.
Yeah.
yeah. But he had major money. And so he wanted me because the hard work had been done. I'm
Yeah.
now 15 and I would visit him, and he lived in San Francisco, and the people were so cool. Like I'd go out and
Yeah. Yeah.
oh my, man, maybe my mom can move here. That was my thought, Or we'd go to Davis, which is right down the road from Woodland, 8 miles
Yeah.
away. And that 8 miles was like, it was night and day because it's a university.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could feel, oh my God, and there's more than one high school, right? I was like, oh my God, there's like, I don't feel that, oh, new guy, let's get him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some normalcy.
Right. And so what happened is she saw that I got in trouble because she finally came in and she said, you were calling your old girlfriend. Because I told her I lied. And she goes, what's going on? And then I broke down, and then she realized, oh my God, he's really in trouble because she's a social
Yeah.
worker.
Yeah.
So she said, well, do you want to go live with your father? And me being that responsible kid, I didn't want to tell her my family. She says, let's just move to Davis. It's 8 miles away. I know you have to
Yeah.
drive to work. It'll be so much
Yeah.
better for me. I thought, if I go live with my dad, I do like that. I do like San Francisco. And my dad does have a lot of money. And then my sisters and my mom will have more money. So I almost
Practical.
felt like it was my duty too.
So did
But
you become a computer programmer, or what did you do?
So I left. I went one month in San Francisco. Then we moved to Alameda across the bay.
Yeah.
And I went to high school, and I walked around school like this. The first week, like, because of Woodland, I was
Yeah.
like, I'm
Yeah.
ready. And this black dude, I remember he goes, hey baby, what's going on, man? And I go, what? He goes, hey man, what's your name? And I told him my name, and he goes, hey, yeah, I'm Johnny. I go, hey Johnny. He goes, why are you so mad? And I was like, I just came from Woodland, and they've been really bullying me, and so I'm not going to let any bully me. And he goes, hey baby, you in the Bay Area now, ain't nothing but love here. You want to smoke a joint?
Oh man, nice.
And I was, oh my God, and the girls would go, hi,
Yeah.
what's your name? You, huh? And I moved mid-year. It was like March, right? And I was like, oh, I'm good here. I'm good. Let's stay. But
It's
then
the
my
Bay.
dad,
That's why it's
Yeah.
the Bay.
my dad was like the guy in Mad Men,
Yeah.
boss, and he laid all the secretaries.
Oh no.
And then, and then
Different
they all,
times. Different
yeah,
times.
they all turn against him though.
Yeah.
Once you break all their hearts and you're
Yeah.
good at sex, they turn and so. But true to that generation, did they fire him? No, they transferred him to LA.
Oh man. Yeah.
So now here I get uprooted again.
That's how you came
Mid-year,
to LA?
that's how I ended up in LA. So I ended up
Oh.
at Luther High School, which is in Hawthorne,
Mm-hmm.
London, and I was
Wow,
worried
you were really all over the place.
right, and I was worried that it was going to be kind of tough. I came in at the end of my junior year, so I sort of mad dog people, but I realized, oh no, it's okay. Like they're okay, And I would actually join the football team just so I could hit a bunch of people, so they knew I
Yeah.
was like crazy.
Yeah.
And then if they wouldn't start me, I'd quit because I go like, screw you guys then. But then I got the respect of like, okay, that guy's kind of hard. Like, man, on the football field, he's kind of tough. I don't mess with him.
Yeah.
And so I did that, but I fit in pretty good. And then my dad, should have graduated a year early because of my grades.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was my last year. I only had 2 classes, and my dad's like, he had an Alfa Romeo Spider Veloce. He fit the whole Madman thing, right?
Yeah.
Alfa
And,
Romeo.
yeah, and he's like, convertible, and he's like, you're going to get a girl pregnant or you're going to get in trouble this senior year. Why didn't you just graduate early? And I was like, because I'm a baseball player, Dad, and I'm being scouted and I was being scouted. And I was like, I want to play. And he goes, okay, well, here's what's going to happen. school started in August. In July, in September, in August, you're going to start going to computer school at my company, Control Data Institute, because I'm going to give you a scholarship, which is totally legal, right?
Yeah.
Very, but I had taken the test and aced the test, but the test is easy. If you can't ace that test, you're an idiot. And so then I gave me a scholarship, and 6:30 to 11 p.m. Monday through Thursday,
Yeah.
I had to go to Control Data Institute in Arbor Vitae by the airport,
Mm-hmm.
and I was going to school during the day. And then my dad would drive home, and he knew how to seduce me because then I got to use that Alfa Romeo Spider to go to the class.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So he,
So what? Okay, we got to cut to the chase
drove
because
that
we're going to run out of
for you?
time. But
So I got-
when did you decide to be an actor? All of a sudden, it doesn't seem like you're on your road to being an actor.
so I
What
got the
happened?
A. I got
That's
the
the
A.
road.
I got my A before the high school diploma. I graduated. I wanted to go to UCLA on a full academic scholarship, and my father had tricked me. He had emancipated me,
Yeah.
and I said, I'm going to go to UCLA. I have a full ride and baseball. They're giving
Yeah.
me baseball too. Blah blah blah. You know, I can be on the team. And he goes, good luck. We're moving to Ontario.
Oh no.
And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, I got a place. I need a place to I get free schooling, but I need books. I need a place to live. I need food. Good luck. And I was like, what do you mean? And I'd got my AA a month before my high school diploma. And he said, do it. And I said, I need your help. You can't just abandon me. I'm 17. And he goes, you emancipated. Don't you remember? Because he emancipated me. So he could just leave me. So then he went to his briefcase and he pulled out the offer sheet to be in computers. Look, they're offering you this $1,000 a month in a company car. This is what you get. So he literally, I stayed in my car for a month till I got my first paycheck. That's how hard my dad was. So anyway, I did that for 4 or 5 years. I hated it. I made a lot of money. I had a condo in Del Rey. I had a Mercedes-Benz 450 SL. I had beautiful girlfriends. And I was like, why am I so unhappy?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I can say, why did I get into it? I was always a movie buff.
Oh, you always loved movies.
I loved movies. I loved them. I loved them. And TV was our babysitter when my mom went to night school.
Yeah.
Right. So I'd wait up for her. And then back in the days, they used to show To Kill a Mockingbird and all these beautiful like old movies. I get to see them, right? And then my mom would come, oh, you're watching To Kill a Mockingbird, and we talk about it intellectually and everything. So what happened was I planned to.
Let's move into a new section here. We're going to talk about your acting now. We've done the therapy now.
Right.
Now
so
we're going to talk about the career. Yeah.
Right. So what happened was I saw the Elephant Man, and I realized I was dying in that job that I hated, even though I was a boss and I should be happy. And I saw the Elephant Man, and it blew me away. And I said, I really want to be part of this. So I did what they taught me in school. They did send me to business school, and they said, study businesses that are successful and look at the patterns. So I made a list of all these actors I admired because we had the Z Channel. So it wasn't only big actors. It was like Donald Sutherland, Maureen Stapleton, Ned Beatty in Deliverance. I was like, man, that guy, they pulled his pants down and he squealed, and that guy's brave. Who is he?
He was brave. He was brave.
And I went to the Academy Players Directory, and I got their agent's name, and I called him up, and I go, hi, I'm writing for UCLA, a paper on Ned Beatty. Could you send their bio and resume? And they did.
Really?
Yeah. So I laid.
That video is great.
I had 58 of them laid out on my condo in Plan de Rey, and I said, okay, what are the patterns? What are the commonalities that these people have? And so what I did was I realized, oh, theater actors.
Yeah.
Oh, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, method.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fourth one was Stella Adler, and I'm like, I've heard of method acting, and I've heard of Stella Adler, but okay, this is what I need to do. So, and then it said an actor prepares, and so I read the book, and it's a very dense, very dense book, and I think you have to be very smart to really get the gist of the book. The book is very dense, and I decided that night I would quit and become an actor, but I didn't do it for 14 months.
Yeah.
I bought a van, I put a bed in it, right? I planned everything out. I sold my Mercedes.
Smart. Yeah.
I sold my condo, right? I sold my condo. I sold my stock options. I had a big chunk of money. Ignorance is bliss. I thought you just showed up at Stella Adler in New York. Here's the money, and you're in.
Sometimes that's good to think that way, though, because it doesn't. You don't put so many barriers in your way. You know.
Right. And so what I did was I just went there, and I remember I was auditioning, and they're all nervous. And I'm like, what's the matter with them? They're all nervous, you know.
Yeah.
And so I did my monologue, and they said, okay, you come back again.
Mm-hmm.
And they paired me up with a woman to do a scene.
Mm-hmm.
And later, Stella told me that she would watch the finals from the booth.
Oh,
Right.
really?
Yeah. And so I'm rehearsing with this woman, and she's all nervous and ignorant is bliss. I'm like, relax, man. Relax. We're going to be great. And
Yeah.
she's like, ah. So I auditioned. Then they posted you on it's like in high school. You come
Yeah.
to the window and your
Yeah.
name's there. You're
Yeah.
picking it
Or
up.
it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get the phone call from the actress, and she goes, you made it. I didn't even go because I didn't realize that. I thought,
Yeah.
yeah, and I go, oh, good. Did you
Yeah.
know? And she starts
Oh,
crying. So anyway, I
yeah.
studied there. I wanted to keep studying, and then Stella, they said, no, you have an exit interview. And I went in with Stella, and she said, I don't run a cult like Lee Strasberg.
Oh, wow.
Like, I didn't
Wow.
need to
Yeah.
study with somebody for decades. That's bullshit. That's just money making, and that's a cult.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, let me give you a good, and this is good for actors out there.
Yeah.
This is really, let me give you a really good piece of advice about how I think you become a great actor.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, so we've talked fishing, you and I, Del, because you did fishing. You did this monologue once about fishing, and we talked about that you used to go fishing. She goes, so when a salmon's born, where is it? I go, in these little bitty creeks. She goes, yeah, because it's protected there. She goes, that's here. That's this school.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's where it began. She goes, now it gets a little bigger, it gets about this big, it starts going into the streams, but it still doesn't go into the river yet because it's still too small. It's not strong enough. It doesn't know enough. It's learning, right? So it gets bigger, gets bigger. And then when it gets bigger, now it goes to the rivers. And now it's in the rivers, right? And it's doing great. And that's when where you've been in deep in scene study. You've been deep in theory on method. You've been taking classes back to back to back. You've been doing fencing, singing, all the stuff that we tell you to do. You've been doing it. You've shown me that you do it. You're dedicated. She goes, but when that fish needs to become the fish that it's destined to be, it needs to go to the ocean. And that's out there. That's not here.
Nice.
This is the river. Go out there. That's where you learn more than you'll ever learn here. You have the foundation. That's where you'll get better and better and better and challenge yourself. And you're going to kick ass. And you're so natural that nobody's going to understand how good you are because they're going to think you're playing yourself always. So just realize it's going to be kind of a long road for you to prove who you are. So that's how I became an actor.
But you're used to that. And you're used to that too, which
Yes.
is you're used to people having some idea about you and you having to kind of get past it or
Yes.
live in spite of it,
Yes.
thrive in spite of it.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
what a
yeah.
great
Be yourself
story.
and thrive
Yeah.
in spite of judgment.
And some
And
people
so-
don't realize Stella Adler. I mean, I don't know if people out there know about Stella Adler, but she was one of the greatest acting teachers who ever lived.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And for her to say that to you, because a lot, like you say, a lot of acting teachers just want you to be with them forever because that's how they make their money.
Right.
But what a great
Not only
metaphor,
that,
too.
but she believed in Dell
She
to
believed
talk
in
to
him,
him like
yeah.
that on a personal level, not just
Yeah.
as a teacher.
Yeah.
That's a personal
Right. And when people
personal
would
gift.
make me because I lived in my van,
Yeah.
that helped me because I would be like, no, Stella told
Yeah.
me that and tell me that, right? And stuff like that. But I also did, here's the one thing I do want to say. Where do I have success? Why do I have the success I have? As meager as it is financially, I have worked a lot. And what it is back to fishing.
Mhm.
I fish every day. I didn't take, when my dad died, I still fished. When my grandpa died, I still fished. When the girlfriend broke my heart and slept with a celebrity who's
Yeah.
famous, still
Mhm.
famous to this day, and every time I see it, it's still a little dagger in my heart.
Yeah.
40 years, I still fished.
Yeah.
I just because here's my metaphor for fishing, that I'd like to pair up with Stella's. I'm a fisherman all my life because I grew up fishing. You don't know the day that you're going to catch your first fish. You just have to be there. You don't know the day that you're going to catch the most fish in one day.
Oh,
You don't
great.
know that day,
Yeah.
but if you're there, that day will happen. And you also cannot predict when you're going to catch the biggest fish of your life. You don't know what day that is. So you can't take a day off because that day may be the day that big fish was there and you could have caught it. That's really what I did. So how did I do it? I looked at, I said, oh my God, look at the USC, UCLA, and AFI, three of the greatest student filmmakers film schools, 3 of the greatest film schools in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And Columbia are great, okay, but they're right here. Tomorrow's, because I also did research, tomorrow's writers, directors, producers are right there, and I can work with them on this level.
Wow. Yeah.
So
You're so good at seeing seeing the path ahead of
Right.
you and going,
So
okay, that's where I want to be. That's where I'm going to go. Yeah. It's really
Did the work.
incredible.
Do the work.
Yeah.
So I'm doing theater. So I did like 99 plays in
Mhm.
like, I don't have time for plays now because I work a lot of movies and TV shows and
Yeah.
then produce a movie. But I did 128 student films as an actor, and I did another like 50 as crew. But here's what happened. I was
Yeah.
really struggling living in my van, and I went back to UCLA and I said, hi, because my SATs were perfect in math, and one question didn't finish in English. So like
Yeah.
I had scholarships everywhere. So I went back, and this is like 83, 82 to 83, and I said, hi, I'm back from New York. Is my scholarship still good? And they said, yes, it is. And I was like, oh, well, I want to go to school here. So they looked at my AA and they go, you have to clean up a couple of things. And then I wrote some pieces and I got accepted into MPTV, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So starting 83 September, I'm supposed to be in MPTV. I've been accepted. I'm cleaning up some courses. I have some finals, but it was kind of a heavy load because it didn't take care of everything. The computer science didn't take care of everything because I fixed computers and then I sold them and I was out stuff.
So
I was a
MPTP is motion picture training program.
motion picture
Yep.
television.
Motion
Right,
picture
so I-
television
Motion
program.
television.
To get that, and then I get Repo Man. And
Right when
it
you
was
were set up to go to
As an
school,
actor.
you got
As an
Repo Man.
actor.
it was going to be a student film, and I had auditioned for it when it was a student film
Yeah.
with Alex Cox, right? And he
Yeah.
always said, I loved how Dell treated, he's English, I loved how Dell treated me at my project when he came in. He acted like it was Citizen Kane. And that's another thing I will tell everybody. You
Yeah.
don't know what your project's going to be. I went with a girlfriend to that audition, and she was supposed to audition, and Alex came out with his hair like this,
Mhm.
shaved
Yeah.
and long like this.
Yeah.
And it's right. Freaked her out. She didn't want to audition. And Alex Cox, to everybody, Alex Cox. Repo
Yeah.
Man
Alex Cox, who's one of
Yeah.
the great filmmakers. Sid and Nancy, Repo Man, Walker, which was controversial, and some other like great stuff out there. He fascinates me, but
Yeah,
I'd
and
love to
so-
hear more. Yeah,
Good. I want to hear the story. Finish
yeah
the
let's hear it. Let's hear the
Sure.
story.
audition. He comes out and he goes, his hair is like this, and hello, hello, Del, shaved. And he goes, Del Zamora. And I go, yes, sir. And he goes, and her name, I don't want to say her name, right? Because I don't want to make her feel bad, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or try not to disrespect anybody as I get older. And okay, I just have to finish one thing and then I'll be right back. And then she goes, let's go. I go, what? And she goes, he's freaky. And I was like, no, we made the energy to come here. We parked.
Yeah.
He's here in LA. He's
Yeah.
obviously, that's the way that a lot of genius directors are. They're kind of eccentric. And she's like, no, I don't want to do it. He's freaked me out. So she says, I'm leaving. And she give me a ride there. And I said, I turned to another guy and I go, where do you live, bro? I'm living in my van. And this woman's making fun of me. Like, you'll never make it. Never make it right. And so she just left me there and he gave me a ride home. So we went in. He came back. He had the car that Harry Dean Stanton drove in the movie
The Malibu.
on the soundstage.
Yeah.
Not the
Yeah.
the Impala.
Oh, the Impala. Yeah, that's it.
But the Harry Dean Stanton's his
Yeah.
car, right?
Yeah.
He had the stage and he goes, okay, get in and do the scene that we had, right? And I'm like, this is freaking cool, man. I'm like digging it already. And the other guy was like, and he goes, oh, this is good. We did it. We started. He goes, no, stop. This is really good. I'm going to go get a camera. So he went and got like a Super 8 camera to shoot, right? I'm going to shoot this. I got some ends. This is wonderful. So when he went to get the camera, the guy goes, I don't like this guy. He's freaked me out. And I go, are you kidding? This guy's a genius. Dude, like, just kick ass. Come on. So he started shooting and he was doing like this. He was moving. He'd get on the hood of the car while we're doing the scene.
Yeah.
And I just kept going. Got to the end. He goes, wonderful. Blah, blah. So he called me in months later. We're still doing it as a student film, Dal. Are you in? I go, yes, I'd love to work with you. Anytime, just let me know. I'm happy to do it. Okay. So now 5 months go by and nothing. They call me. I'm doing a play. I have the smallest role in the play. And a lot of the actors are bullies and they're mean to me, except for Margaret Avery, who won an Oscar for the playing Sugar Avery for the Color Purple. I think nomination, and Joe Esteves, Martin Sheen's brother, and Bob Moran,
Wow.
and Amy Levine, now Amy Linden. Those four were nice to me, and they're
Amy
still
Linden, we love Amy. She's been on the show.
yes, those four
Yeah.
were nice to me, and see, they're still in the business.
Yeah.
But the rest of the cast, they were like me. I had like one line in the whole play, right? So I get, it's the old days of boop, and you listen to your messages, and it says, call Alex Fox. So I call up, and he goes, hello, Lagarto Rodriguez? And I'm like, yes. Okay, so you're cast. You're officially cast. And we go in May. But I go, oh, good. So we're shooting on the weekends? And he goes, ha, ha, ha. No. It's now a Universal picture. It's been picked up.
Wow.
Negative pickup deal, so for like 1.2, I believe. And I actually have Emilio Estevez and Harry Dean Stanton cast, but because you've been so good, you're the first one cast officially in my mind. So you're first.
Wow.
So I and they're watching me. These four people watching me on, and because the phone's in the lobby, right? It was one of those. The theater, literally, the phone would ring during performance. That's how stupid that is. So I hung up and I look at them and they're like, "What happened?" And I go, "It's now SAG, Universal Picture, and I'm working 10 weeks, and I'm only making scale plus 10, but my guy's gonna fight for billing, my agent and everything." And I came and they're like, "Oh my god!" And they go, "Okay, get ready, places to do a run through."
Yeah.
So I go, "Oh," and I start to get ready, and Margaret Avery goes, "What are you doing, honey?" And I said, "Oh, in places." She goes, "Oh no, child." And she goes, "Joe, come here. Bob, come here." And they came over and she goes, "You're doing a Universal picture." I said, "Yes." "You have a big role." I said, "Yes." And she goes, "You don't need to be here. This is double cast. They got, right? The guy's here.
That's the way LA theater is, right? I mean,
Right here, that's his one line, right?" She goes, and then Bob goes, "Yeah, Del, you like focus on that. You don't need to focus on that. This is free. You're doing this for free. Go focus. They're paying you." And then Joe Esteves goes, "Yeah, man, go do it." So then I quit. Now my dad, during all this time, he had been making me live in my van, and he had four bedroom house. The mother,
man,
jeez,
and he's trying to starve me out, just like how the head of Bob Iger, let's starve him out. It was that same mentality. Let's starve him out. Let's starve him out. So he's trying to starve me out. So all of a sudden now I have a big role, and I'm like, "Dad, we're shooting at summer. I have to sleep during the day. It's really, really hot." I was living with my dog, Chivo, who's in Repo Man, by the way. If you ever see in Repo Man, there's a scene with me where we're looking in a car and the guy's holding this fluffy dog, and that's Chivo. And I said, "Look, I need a place. While I'm shooting, can I just stay with you, and I'll be gone before you get home? Because all our call times, it's night most of the time. I don't shoot during the day. Only few." "Yeah, okay," begrudgingly. And I'm like, "Dude, I made it. Be happy for me." So he came home about 4 p.m. and I was just waking up the first day. And he had this notion that I was going to steal from him. And like he had, "Please give me a break. Shut up. I'm a upstanding citizen. I just need help right here." So he came home and he goes, "You're just getting up?" And I go, "Yeah, I had to sleep." And he goes, "No, this is bullshit." And I was like, "Dad, it's like I'm working the graveyard shift. I have to sleep." And he goes, "Get up." So I shot the rest of Repo Man living in my van.
You did?
No.
Yeah. Wow.
I would go to the health club, and because I had a goatee, I had to shave fine because the guy's like, he's slick.
Oh, totally slick. Yeah.
And I had to look good and everything. And I remember thinking, "You bastard, man! Here, I proved you wrong. I proved everyone wrong. They used to be diluted at Nosotros Theater. Yeah. They would say, this is diluted Zamora."
Diluted. Oh man, the thing is, okay. So a couple things here.
Nosotros.
You're so good at seeing a path, but you're also not somebody that makes assumptions about things, like or judges something for appearances, and so like you leave a lot of things open. And create a lot of opportunities for yourself. I want to play a little bit from Repo Man if people don't know it. I have a little bit here. But for us, living up in Seattle, we were in high school, this was like one of those kind of siren calls for us. I don't know, it really spoke to the way we were feeling at the time. This was like pre-grunge period there in Seattle, and I think that movie had a lot of effect on us. I know the soundtrack and the kind of attitude that was in the show. So anyway, let's take a look at this and we'll come back.
Cool car.
Uh-oh, the Rodriguez brothers.
Motherfucker just flipped you off.
Roll the window down, roll the window down.
¿A dónde vas, pendejo?
¡A chingas tu esposa!
Watch it, motherfucker. Hey, fuck you, pussy punk. Want me to take him?
I'll put this on the screen.
Oh, hey! Jesus, asshole!
So who are these Rodriguez boys?
Rodriguez brothers. Lagarto and Napoleon.
Devo.
Notorious delinquents currently responsible for
Is that your dog?
30 vehicles.
Yeah.
That's the dog?
64 Chevy Malibu, 20 grand. We could buy 10 of them for that, Marlene.
Think you can find it now?
Now, how come this junk is worth so much? What's in it? Drugs?
Hermanos Rodriguez don't approve of drugs.
Listen, I think I left a book of matches over in your office over there. You want to go check for me, huh?
Sure thing.
Hey, thanks a lot, buddy.
Anything for you, babes.
All right, you're beautiful. I love you.
Right back.
He's still cool.
Golly, those classics.
So that's Alex Cox right there, right?
Yes.
Now I'm gonna bring you on the screen.
And there's Alex Cox on the right and Abby Wool on the left.
I love
Who
that.
directed a John Doe movie, and
Oh,
she was
man.
on this, and she works on a lot of Clint Eastwood movies now.
So cool. So yeah. So what was it like shooting? You shot this around L.A. And
Yeah.
what you were in the L.A. River there, like driving around like in Greece or
Greece.
something. Isn't that crazy?
It was, I'll tell
There's
you.
so many movies.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a Harry Dean story. This is an actor story, and
Mhm.
it was very risky for me to do. But I'm a risk taker in my
Yeah.
work. Like always, like when I'm researching a role, when I get a role, even an audition,
Yeah.
I would go, okay, here's the road that everybody's gonna take.
Yeah.
They're gonna go from point A to point B, but there's another way to get to point B, and I'm gonna go this way. That's more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I will
Yeah.
sometimes intersect with that same road they're going, but there's going to be a time where I diverge from it so that I can also make myself differentiate myself from my competition.
Mm-hmm.
Also showed that I ended up at the same place with the same intention, everything did, and it was kind of
Yeah.
a little more because it was like a different take on
Yeah.
on stuff. So I think that's always very, very important to do as actors. Okay, so the LA River, it was my first scene, and my
Mhm.
agent had just come down to the set to negotiate my billing,
Yeah.
so that I would be like what number and on top above Eddie Velez, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a personal thing because everybody had said that he was going to be the guy that was going to kill, and he did great.
Yeah.
And he was a little conceited at that time. He's a nice guy, and
Yeah.
he's humbled out because the business humbles everybody.
Of course.
But he was doing great at that time, and so it was important to me that I had billing over him. And anyway, I was the main Rodriguez brother of the two, I thought. So they just finished, so I thought, okay, good. They obviously value me. So Harry Dean and Emilio went to the river first. So I went into his dressing room with a mascara pencil, and I
Mhm.
said, "Hey, Bud," to his character.
Yeah. They're all
Just
named after beer. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Remember, these are hardcore guys, audience, so
Yeah.
don't get mad. This is character. This is not me. This
Yeah.
is actor. We're playing here
Mhm.
to set a tone so that when we get in the scene, we're ready to go. So don't get mad at what the characters have. Said,
Yeah.
"Hey, Bud, just passed by your place and fucked your wife. No wonder you never go home." Lagarto Rodriguez.
Oh,
Right?
no. Yeah.
Right? And so then I left. Right.
Uh,
So now we have to do the part where we're coming up. So
Yeah.
now we're in our the car without them. So now he's back in the dressing room and he sees it,
yeah.
right? And I thought, well, shit, he's cantankerous and he's an old guy. He's go to the old school, but that's kind of an old school thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think he'll play with it, and I think he's fine. But this could backfire, and I could get fired today.
Yeah.
But I'm a risk taker, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. So we finished our part, and then you don't need to go back. We're just going to bring him in now, and then the two cars together, right? And so he came out, and he looked at me, and he gave me that look like, yeah, fuck you. And I was, oh, good. He's not mad at me. He's ready to play. So
Yeah.
we did the scene, blah, blah, blah. Then we finished. So then Harry Dean's one of these guys. He doesn't have makeup anyway. So they get that shit away from me. He's one of those kind of guys.
Yeah.
So he just changes his clothes and jumps in his car and takes off. So he's gone already. So then I come in to my dressing room, and in lipstick, he wrote, "Hey, Lagarto Napoleon, don't lie. My wife said you guys fucked each other in the ass while she watched. She wasn't impressed, but..." so I started laughing. And then I look up the door, and there's the guy whose honey wagon it is, looking at me like this. And I go, "Oh, dude."
That's funny. That's funny.
"I'm so sorry. Let me clean it up." And so he had the rag already and everything. So I cleaned it up, and mine was easy. The mascara was easy. The lipstick was hell because of all the oil, but I got it all cleaned up. And I said, "I'm so sorry." And then I gave him a $20 bill. So I was like, so sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's great, though. And what is it like working with Alex Cox? What's his style? I mean, you said that thing about when you were auditioning. Is it very much on the fly? Is there a lot of improvisation? What is his directing style as opposed to like the hundreds of other directors you've worked with? Because you've worked with him several times.
Yeah, I've worked with Alex 9 movies, and I scored a very long section of his movie El Patriota, which was in Spanish. I would have been in the movie, but not allowed to work in Mexico unless I'm hired here. That's another thing people don't realize.
Yeah.
And I'm not
because what? Because of the union?
No, because he's not Mexican.
Right. I'm American.
Yeah.
So I'm pro-immigration, so don't take this wrong.
Yeah.
Mexicanos come here and compete with me, but I can't go to their country and compete with them. The same thing. That's why you see all these English and Australian actors in American movies.
Right.
And you don't see American actors in their movies, hardly ever, very rarely. They have to be huge stars.
Just stars, mostly stars, right?
Yeah.
Right, because they protect, their unions protect their workers, and we don't. The studios go, "We want the whole world to come here." So that's another reason why I make so little, because it gives me no leverage, because I have to compete not only with Ben Affleck playing Tony Mendez in Argo, and Steve Lopez being in the Soloist played by Robert Downey Jr., and Cocaine Godmother Griselda Blanco, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Daniel Lugo, Mark Wahlberg. The lead roles for the money is the Anglos come and take them, like the House of Spirits. They come and take those roles because that's where the money is. And then I have to compete against the world for the rest of the small roles, right? And go to their countries to compete. And I'm only allowed to play Latino or Native. So that gives me very little leverage because there's not a lot of roles.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of Latino and Native roles, then I have leverage because when they want to underpay me, I can say, "No." And my agent can go, "No, we got other offers." But they're like, "There's no other offers for him. There's no other roles." And he only gets to play Latino Native. See, this is where everybody says that actors can play anything. And I go, "That excludes us." I said, "What does George Lopez play all the time? Latino. What does James play all the time? Latino. What does Jennifer Lopez play all the time? Latino." They don't allow us to play ourselves, very rarely, but everybody can play us, right? And then part of it, half of it is this. Half of the business doesn't care. Ben Mendez, give him an Oscar. They don't care. The other half do care, but then the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Junie Lowry Johnson, who's cast me a bunch of times, and I love you, Junie, so don't get mad, but I'm just telling the truth. So she's cast me about 39 times, and she's big time.
Yeah,
so
she's big time. Yeah.
Yeah, she is big time.
She cast me back from Born in East LA, so she cast me from like 1986 on. So she got mad at me when I wrote an article in the LA Times. The whole industry got mad at me, and I didn't work for a while. I was kind of black. So she didn't call me in for 5 years, but when she called me in for more substantial roles, because I think she kind of understood that what I was saying was right. So they start caring. Those people start caring. So what they do is they reserve you then. If you speak Spanish well, they won't bring you in for an English only role because they're going to reserve you in case a Spanish language role is written. So I ended up being on that list. So I was like, well, that's ridiculous, because in every other industry, when you speak more than one language, it widens your horizons. But in this one, it's
Right.
narrowing.
Jeez.
And so finally, at a True Blood party,
Yeah.
after she asked me like 35 times now, so I've saved her bacon many times.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts to become more peer.
Yeah.
The relationship. So I go, Junie, at the party, Junie, this sucks, man. I'm underpaid all the time, and you don't bring me in for English only roles. And she goes, Del, it's because your Spanish skills are good and you're a kick-ass actor. She goes, you know how it is. In the final callbacks, and everything's a little different now with self-tapes, but in the final callbacks, they have time to see 6 for each lead, each guest star, 6 actors. So those actors kick ass, which you are, but they also have to be great in their language. We don't speak Spanish or Mandarin or whatever the language is. We have the person in the corner. I said, I know, the language consultant. She goes, yeah. So if you come in and you look good to us, the acting looks good, and then you leave, and the language consultant goes, no, I get yelled at for wasting their time.
But when would the language consultant go no to you?
If my Spanish was bad.
But it's not.
So
right?
that's why she's reserving me.
That's why she's reserving you. Yeah.
So she doesn't get stuck with actors with bad Spanish.
Yeah.
Right.
Which happens all the time, though, doesn't it? I want to see. Here's your.
Not only that, though, Del, then it limits you, like you said. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's look at True Blood, because you were recently on True Blood. Great character.
My favorite television role, my favorite TV comedy role is George Lopez. My favorite TV drama role is this one, Don Mortalo.
Cool. All right, I picked well.
Wow, that smells well done.
But you just served him tongue.
Lengua.
Gracias por su hospitalidad, abuelo. Sé que ha pasado mucho tiempo. Estamos aquí porque tenemos problemas. Necesitamos protección.
Huyes de mí durante 20 años. Luego regresas, arrastrándote, arrodillado, pidiendo limosna. ¿Dónde chingado está tu orgullo?
A veces hay cosas más importantes que el orgullo, abuelito.
Tráeme un sacrificio y veremos.
This is crazy. What'd you say?
Te demoraste bastante.
Real snake in there?
It's a real
Pensé que
12-foot.
se te olvidó todo lo que te enseñé.
Ojalá que el olvidar fuese tan fácil.
The Mayans worship the snake, you know.
No, I know that.
It is a gateway to the spirit realm. This is the same magic she's using. You're a witch.
What, bloodletting? No, I've never seen Marnie do that. She's a medium.
She wants possession, and she'll get it. Maybe he already has. They're always looking for a way in.
They?
Él no sabe nada, verdad?
He's talking about spirits. And it's not Marnie or spirits we need protection from. It's vampires.
You don't even know what you need. Fucking idiots.
What the hell is that supposed to mean? Answer me! What's that supposed to mean?
Is that a real snake?
Yes, it is.
What the fuck? Why did you do that?
Protect him!
How? You sick fuck, how?
Protect him.
Maria, call a doctor, Maria, please, Maria! Maria!
Wow.
Yeah, he shut the door on his ass. He shut the
That was crazy. So I had no idea that was a real snake, too. How does that happen?
So they called me after I was cast, and it was the assistant director, and he says, "Hey, Del Zamora, how you doing?" I go, "Great, man. Excited to be on the show." Blah blah blah. And he goes, "How do you feel about working with animals?" I go, "I work with anything." He goes, "Snakes?" I go, "Really? Are we gonna have a snake?" And he goes, yeah, if you're good. I go, yeah, I love it. Yes. It won't be poisonous. I go, the answer is yes. I love it. It brings dynamic, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
then the snake handler, he brought, it's a combination of 4 snakes in that scene.
Yeah.
The one I pull out of the bag is the 12-footer, and it's a real one. Right?
Yeah.
When I go forward and it goes to open its mouth, it's a mechanical one.
Yeah.
That is, lunge forward, it would go like that. Oh, shoot.
Oops. Yeah.
Forward, it would open up so they could just get a little of the opening, right?
Yeah.
And the one that I threw in the fire, that was like a prop one that would like that.
That's
right?
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. They had them all, and then they had another one that was frozen dead in case I needed it, but I didn't ever need it. And so what happened was the wrangler came up to me and he said, "So anyway, this is going to be intense, and my these snakes will bite you. Not poisonous, will bite you." And I said, "Oh man, your snake's going to love me. It's going to be fine." He goes, "So what happened? If you notice in the scene, I go like this and I turn the fake snakes, and it's the real snake."
Yeah.
And he goes shh, like that, and I know that's good. Like that's good. Believe it or not,
with his tongue.
That's a good thing.
And I went like that, and I was like,
he likes you.
God. He's like my. And so then I went like that, and then they then intercut the other angle with me, mechanical one. Yeah. So it was a real one. And then afterwards, they said, "My snake did like you."
Yeah. That tongue,
that's cool.
That's smelling you.
It's a great part.
There was another part where in another episode where I have my grandson kill a baby goat.
Yeah.
And they had PETA on the set, and ASPCA, and this is one of my proudest moments because it looks brutal.
Yeah.
And we did it.
Yeah, I saw that scene.
I came out and I said, "Here's the goat and everything," and I didn't even meet them. I didn't even know they were on the set, but I assumed they were, right? I think because Alan Ball's a good person, and so I'm looking at it, and I discovered that the goat would, when I would do this, it would automatically liking it, but do quick.
Yeah.
Right. And I did. Right. So what happened is I hand the knife to my grandson, and he's a little boy, and then I'm making him kill it. He doesn't want to, right? And so they're doing all these other shots with the squirting blood on his face and my face as I'm over all that stuff, and he's going like this and hitting a sandbag. But they wanted the goat to sort of back off and everything like that, and all I would do is I would just lift it like that, and it was like felt so good.
Yeah.
That like that and
do it more.
Off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back off a little bit, and then I let him come back, and then and we just kept doing it over, and they used a piece of it. So then we finished shooting, and everything's good, and I hugged the lamb, and I was like, "See, it was fine. We didn't kill you. I told you everything's gonna be fine." And so I'm just because the kids are. So I want the kid to feel good, and I go, "You did great," and I pick him up, and I go, "Dave, let's hug him. He's our co-star now. We'll always remember him from now on." So he hugs him. So we start walking. The mom and dad of the kid come up to me, and they go, "Thank you so much. You were so great." And I go, yeah. It's a weird scene, but we can have fun with it. And then all of a sudden I see 6 people coming towards me, and I didn't know them. And I was like, who are they? And they're coming towards me, and they're smiling. And they go, "Hi, we're with PETA." And the other said, and they said, "Thank you so much for being so gentle with the goat. Oh my God. Look like, but we could see what you were doing because we look on the screen and then we look at you and we're like, and you're so gentle." I said, "Yeah, there's just ways we can do it to make it look like what we need it to look like." So I love that.
That's a pro. That is so cool. All right, now here we go. So I want to talk to you about one more thing, which is really important, which is your project called the Last Brown Beret. Yes. I'm going to show the trailer here, and then I'll see you on the other side. We'll talk about it.
Thank you.
Whatever happened to us, man? Nothing was supposed to come between us. Nothing. We were brown berets. We were gonna change the world.
The peachy world changed us.
They have no idea what it took to get what they take for granted. We left them a legacy.
That's what everybody seems to have forgotten, including us. That we were right to fight for everything that we fought for.
Orale, now you're talking, eh?
Are you sure the reason you don't want me to go with you is because I'm white?
Oh, please, it has nothing to do with it, okay?
Tell your pinches putas girlfriends to stop calling here. Why in the fuck are you standing there? Get the fuck out of here.
Why so tense?
We're gonna be late.
I wanna be late.
Rudy, get back over here.
having the get-together at our house. You're all invited, of course.
I already got the beers in the fridge and everything.
You mean have a meeting like the good old days?
Just like the old
What about the party, man?
Dale, carnal. Leave the women with their tears and the men with our beers. That you, rude boy? No, it's your tia Licha. Glad you decided to show up.
Toma. Luego.
Salud.
You should take her to a Day of the Dead celebration.
And then I dress up like I'm dead. Well, you can do that.
Not quite.
Days of marches, protests, demonstrations.
And those were the days. Chicanismo at its best.
Yeah.
Long gone, Kino.
What do you mean long gone? Movimiento's still around. It's just on a slow burn right now.
Look at Arizona. Outline Chicano history.
And now they want to banish the Spanish music. Que la chinga. I just still believe in la raza. Mi raza. Tu raza.
Were you seeing Frankie?
I loved Frankie, but not like that.
Yeah, Frankie loved us all, man.
Yeah, he loved us all right. He loved all of us. Especially Anita.
Frankie, you can't call here anymore.
Anita, I need you.
Anita! No, me, I love the Brown Berets. I love you, Fatos. Oh, don't give me that bullshit. Well, you better sit down and shut your mouth, cabron. Hey!
That's not just a hat. It's our old brown beret. La causa.
Órale. Now you're talking, eh?
All right. So this is a movie that you directed, you co-wrote, and you starred in.
And produced.
And produced. It's an independent film. That must take an incredible amount of energy.
With my and remember, here's the thing I do want to drive home to you, of all actors out there. So I've done 279 speaking roles.
Yeah.
All union, SAG, after Equity. I think I did like 3 plays I got paid. Right, so Equity, I'm counting those two.
Mm-hmm.
So think what my average income should be per year, 42 years. And
most
here's
people
what
would think that you had a massive house in Beverly Hills or someplace, Malibu, something like that.
Richard, hold up.
Tell us the cold reality.
Richard,
and this
got
can
Richard down from there.
What'd you say, Blas?
Boney.
Oh.
Take
What's going on?
Put Dell's name back up.
Oh yeah, it says Richie Satori down there.
Yeah,
So,
hold
that was our guest last week.
So
okay.
Real quick, you said your average income, all your jobs, right?
Yeah.
Per year. So this includes residuals, everything, what my average year. And so 279 in 42 years. So that's about 7 a year, right?
Yeah.
And they're sometimes really big, like True Blood's big, right? Sometimes they're just small, just 1 day roles, right? It varies, right? So because I have no leverage,
mm-hmm.
and what happens, it's just like in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
They pay the quarterback too much, so the wide receiver leaves. But at least he has somewhere else to go.
Yeah.
I don't.
Right.
So, on True Blood, again, I'm sorry, True Blood. I love the show, and it is my favorite character, but I was tremendously underpaid. And what it is they pay the Anglo kid who's hot 3 to 4 times the rate because he's hot.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, the budget blocked. They didn't, the HBO, when they got the loan to do the movie and they wired them to do the TV show and they wired the money to Fangbanger, Fangbanger company can't go back and go, hey, that guy that you want to play this 5-episode arc is really hot. Pay him 4 times the rate. HBO doesn't care. They say, make it work. So they go, okay, well, we got to pay him 4 times the rate. HBO said, we got to hire this guy. So let's pay him 4 times the rate. Now they got to make it up on the budget. Do you want to take it up to the producers? You want to come out of your money? No, screw that. Okay, who doesn't have leverage?
Yeah.
Those that only play themselves, Latinos and natives. So on True Blood, I should have got paid $7,500 per episode. That's what a guest star gets on that kind of show.
Mm-hmm.
And because they overpaid the Anglo actors, and they have to stay on budget, I got paid $1,750 per episode, which is 22.
Fuck.
Oh my God.
And that's what they've done to me my whole career, because here's the deal. When they brought me back for the second season, which is another deal that you didn't show, and they were going to kill me off, right?
Yeah.
But they brought a really beautiful scene with Nelson Ellis where I stitch up his lips. And so it just made me. But
that was too horrific for lunch therapy, I think.
Yeah. It's me. I have a good story about that. I'll tell one day where he was choking from saliva and I helped save him. Unfortunately, happened to him. Rest in peace. He was a good man. So they bring me back and they write this great episode for me. And they go, "We wrote this great episode for me." And we go, "Well, good. Can you give us a raise?" And they're like, "No." And we're like, "Dude, 1,750 per episode. Come on, that's like not even co-star. That's like a 3-liner, 5-liner. Come on." No. So my guy goes, "Well, I don't know if we can make it work." So when we hang up, here's what I tell people. I said, "Here's what happened on their end. We wrote the whole episode for him. We can't lose him. Don't worry. Where's he gonna go? What else? What other options does he have? He only
Other
plays
jobs.
himself. Only plays Latino or Native. How many Latino Native roles are out there? And then this is True Blood, baby. Show me a character like this anywhere else. He's gonna have to take it. Watch, because what they said is well, tell us by the end of the day, and it will rewrite." And that's how they left it. So would they rewrite? Would they? And my guy goes, "How about $50 to 1,800?" No. And it's just because they got to make up for the budget. So it's hard to not take it personally, but once you understand it, you just understand it's business. And that's why we get mad when others play us and we don't get to play them.
Yeah,
If
because
they
it's
look
the
like,
chance to make the big money. Yeah.
yeah. And so Ben Affleck, left winger, takes Tony Mendez. When they showed the movie at the end, I never watched the movie because I start puking because I start crying.
Yeah.
I just can't get so mad because there's a hero that we could be playing, and then we have that then sends that actor who plays Tony Mendez into the stratosphere.
Yep.
We never get the roles that send us into the stratosphere if the Anglo actors just come and take them all the time, and then we don't get to play them, right? And then here's the other deal that gets me mad. I told you this the other day. My family fought for this war in World War I. In World War II, I had 2 uncles who were paratroopers. My grandfather's brother was in the U.S. Army in World War II. World War II, 2 uncles were paratroopers in Europe. Another uncle on my other side was in the Korean War.
Yeah.
And my dad in Vietnam, and then I have all these cousins that were Air Force and everything. I'm like, when do I ever get like Mexicanos could come here and compete with me? I can't go to their country. There's a guy named Cliff Curtis who's Maori from, and he was in One for Warriors, and he's become a millionaire playing us. And then he goes back to New Zealand and he takes his money and helps his community that he made playing us. And I'm always like, what the hell? What?
So frustrating. Yeah.
When do we ever get any appreciation for us being here? Like, we're here before everybody. The name of the city is Los Angeles. Did a white guy name it Los Angeles or California or Texas or Colorado or Albuquerque? Or it's like it's Florida. And then all the native names, when people get like all the people from the South, they're so proud. Alabama, Mississippi, Kentucky. I go, those are all native names. Those are all native.
Yeah.
Every one of them in the South, those are all native. Florida's the only one of the South. Yeah, okay, Carolina, okay, fine, you get that. But Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, Kansas, you can go through the Midwest. They're all Minnesota, Michigan. This notion that we're foreigners in our own land it's very frustrating. So anyway, that's enough.
It's hard.
About that.
It's hard. I mean, and also like as an actor, like I was saying this to you, we love it so much that we'll do it for free. So we need to have somebody to advocate for us to make a living at it. And then when you have this extra level here of pushing inequality, I guess, wage discrimination, I guess is what I was looking for. It makes it really impossible.
Here's also empirical proof. So I have 42 years. So with my Spanish skills, you thought I'd work in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Once.
So Alex Cox went to Mexico because it was a place where he could make his films. I know his career, he's had some trouble, navigating Hollywood. And one of the reasons he went to Mexico was because of that, I believe.
Right.
But then he can't cast you down there. So it's preposterous. It's preposterous.
But he did cast me in Nicaragua. And I want to take care of some business. So we do have, so think about it.
Let's talk about this. Yeah.
$6,800 per year is my average income.
Yeah.
And I'm making a move, 16,800.
Oh my God.
That's my average income.
Wow.
So it affects
consulting.
It affects my pension, affects my social security. It affects, and I'm considered one of the successes. Somebody showed me the studios have lists of actors.
Yeah.
And so I'm on 2 lists. They showed me, and it's actors who are alive and that are viable, and they rank them in order. Like, so when they're saying, well, we need a Latino to play this character of Alejandro, and we better get a real Latino. Well, who do we cast? We can't afford the big stars. Well, what's the next level down? So they look at these lists. So on the Latino list, I'm 58th. I keep dropping because young kids keep coming in and they drop me down because That's male and female, but I'm 58. But on the native list, I'm 20. But that's the world, right? So I should be making big money. Like if I'm
there
in that
should
top,
be more than 58 people that can make a living at being actors. You know what I mean? Like that seems like a.
So now I'm trying to make a movie that looks as good as theirs. That they spend the average indie movie is 20 million, even low budget, low budget is considered 5 million. I'm trying to do for a total. I've spent out of my own pocket $295,000, and people go, well, if you don't make any money, and I said, you ever hear the stories like janitor died today and they discovered that he had $1.2 million in savings and blah 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 blah. And how do you do it? I live a Spartan life.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I haven't gone out to dinner that I paid for since I've been doing the movie, and I started the movie 11 years ago. So about 2 years before the 13 years, I don't. I go to the Emmy events, and I'm not embarrassed to say this. I go to the Emmy events, and they show us the shows, and they have food for us, and I chow down, and then I slip a little in the baggie so that I can try to make it. My average food budget per day is $4 per day, because I'm in what's called movie jail now. It's like I have a hotel, and I started building the hotel, and the jobs that I could do, I did myself. Like I've done 28 jobs. So I did a lot of jobs that I know how to do that I'm qualified to do. But when I need a director of photography, I need to get a DP who that's what they do.
Right.
I can but I need that. I need an editor for the third eye. So I need some production help to, even if I train them to help me, right? I was like, I have a hotel. The hotel's built and I'm like 95% finished. Now I got to put all the furnishings. I got to put the beds in. I got to put everything. Got to finish the bathroom. I got to do it, and then I got to get down to the lobby and finish the restaurant and the bar and finish the lobby area and then do the parking area, and then I'm done. But till I'm done, I can't make very much money on it. Money's just going out the door, out the door, out the door, out the door all the time till I'm done. So it's called movie jail. So when I'm around,
I see what you're saying.
I tell them, they go, "How's your?" I'm in movie jail, and that's shorthand for like waiting for money. So
trap. Yeah.
So we have a GoFundMe, the Last Brown Beret GoFundMe, and we need all the help we can get. Between the 3 campaigns, I was able to raise about 15,000, which I appreciate, and we're very happy. But where I'm at now, I have 90. The movie shot. I need to buy songs, so we want some Chicano songs because it's a Chicano movie.
Yeah.
But they cost 50 grand. Land of a Thousand Dances. I said no, 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 no.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
That's 50 grand, and there's no break on it because the people that made it, they don't own it. The labels own it because they had bad management back then.
Yeah,
So
the publishers own it.
Right. So we're gonna get like 5 or 6 famous songs that we have to pay a lot for, right? One contemporary, and then others kind of from the day, and then we're not gonna have score though because we're saving money. No score, no composer. It's like American Graffiti. It's called Songs Carry the Day, right? So it's called source music. It comes from the scene. Right, diegetic sound. It's like so like American Graffiti. They're in the car. It's on the radio.
Yeah.
So when in the same thing, it's on the radios in the car. But when they get to the after party that we have in our culture, after funerals, we have a party. It's like a playlist from the party, and it's just one song after another, after another, after another. Like 6 famous songs that we have to pay like probably about 150 grand for those 6. I'm friends with Empire of the Sun. I don't know if you know that band.
Yeah.
But I'm in their music videos and
you're in that giant. There's that giant video of you on the stage when they perform, right?
Oh, so he'll give me "We Are the People," which should cost 100 grand for like 10 grand. So Ozo will give me a song like for 5 grand.
Ozo Motley, yeah.
Ozo Motley.
We're
gonna have somebody from Ozo Motley on our show coming up soon.
They love me. They'll for 5 grand. They'll give me a song. Little Joe La Familia, 5 grand, and then a couple songs we got to pay 50 grand for, 35 grand. And then the rest.
The songs you had in your trailer, Dell, like the Tower Power song.
That would cost
one of the songs.
Yeah,
we probably be able to afford that one. But yeah, that would. We wish. Here's the deal: if I could get all the songs that are in the movie now, if I was to win the lottery, or if somebody said here's $1 million to finish the movie, I wouldn't pocket the money. I would spend this. We did the budget on the songs that are in the movie now. It's $700,000.
Sometimes the performers of the music too have a little bit of leverage. Like Camel and I, when we did one of our movies, Joni Mitchell helped us get the rights to the song without having to go through, and she, basically told the record label that she was going to do it. And, she had enough leverage that it was okay. So sometimes if you get directly to the person.
Would back you, Dell. You know they
That-
would.
Yeah.
But that's what Luke Steele's going to do. He's going to do that with this label. That song with Conrad Grant. Then we go to Santana and we go, dude, Carlos,
Santana,
you can't let this Kiwi outshine you, bro. Like we want your songs. We can't pay you the $1 million because his songs cost $1 million. The Beatles $1 million. We can't pay you that, but you can cut. You can make a deal. Can you do it? Blah blah blah. No, but here's the other thing, because I see some questions.
Yeah.
So here we do have a plan.
Mhm.
So 5, 6 famous songs that have to be Chicano, because people don't realize they're Chicano.
Yeah.
Like been part of this country forever, and Land of a Thousand Dances, I tell Anglo people that's a Chicano band, and Wooly Bully, a Chicano band. 96 years, they're all surprised, like, really? So that's why it's important. But then, so how many songs do we need? 41. 6 famous, and then the 35, we're going to ask the community, wherever there's Chicanos in particular, but anybody, do you have songs? Like a lot of people, they're in Texas or they're in Minnesota or whatever, and they believe in this one song that they made, and they pay 20 grand or the 15 grand to do it the right way, where they have a broadcast quality that they can just drop on the radio and it'll go, right? But it has to be broadcast master quality. It can't be like we mixed it ourselves. It has to be.
Can't be a demo.
Right. And if they have that, they can submit it to us. We'll only pay them $500, but that's $500 more than the song's getting, and it exposes the song, because at the end of the movie, when all the song titles, it'll say the song title, who owns it, who wrote it, and who performed it, and then BMI and BG and those companies, they go to film festivals all the time, trolling. They have a music guy, and he just goes and he listens to the songs, and then he calls them up and go, hey, we want to put you in our catalog. That would be a thing. So then here's the other thing that comes from that. You then get regional support. A couple of bands in Chicago, 3 bands from Texas, 2 bands from New Mexico, a couple from Arizona, Northern California. Everybody gets invested in the movie more, and that's what we're trying to do.
That's great.
Also,
I love that.
So last thing, if you donate to the movie forever, you are in the final credits, special thanks, and we don't care if it's $1. Everybody's the same. So right now, when we show the movie, because we're screening it in its current state, even though we don't have the rights to the music, we're allowed to screen it for raise fund and for festivals and stuff, and to show the Brown Berets. The list comes up, special thanks, and we say Kickstarter, and then Indiegogo, and then GoFundMe, because that's how long we've been working on the movie. So that's it. That's my pitch. GoFundMe, The Last Brown Beret. Sorry I talked so much out there.
No, this was great. This was great. We went overtime today, but it was super worth it. And just so many great, so inspiring. We're going to, at the end of the show, we dance. We're going to have a little bit of music here in Spanish from our one of our favorite performers. His name is Fernando Ufret. And so,
you know what? We should reach out to Fernando about music for his show.
Yes, Fernando's a good person.
Fernando's
for this
good.
too.
He's a talented musician.
He's in Massachusetts. Yeah, we really like him.
Gathering songs, and then we have to pay for final mix and final grading, and we're done. So we could be done in 2 months if I can get 200 grand.
Cool. All right, sounds good. Sounds good. We'll get
Hey, Dale, keep us updated, please.
Yeah, keep us updated.
Let us know
Thank
what's going on.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
We want to support you.
Yeah, we want to support you, definitely.
All right, especially once you get to the finish line, we want to help push.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
And even before the finish line. Great guest. All right, let's do this thing. It's time for the dance break.
Good job, Joel.
Special guest, Jeff Roman. All right. Fernando Ufret.
Gypsy King. Oh, man.
Cada día yo te quiero Jovi, Jova, cada día yo te quiero más. Jovi, Jova, cada día yo te quiero más. Jovi, Jova, cada día yo te quiero más. Jovi, Jova, cada día
thanks everybody for hanging in there today. This has been really great. Fernando, you're Fred.